Hi, I'm Brian Sack, a partner at TLV Partners, and today we're really lucky to have Zohar Einy, the CEO and co-founder of Port, with us here today. Zohar's not just a CEO and co-founder of Port, but he's also previously been a member of our firm and someone who we've worked closely with, as well as a dear personal friend. So Zohar, welcome today.
Thank you, Brian. I'm super excited to be here today, and for me it's a great pleasure to be interviewed as a portfolio company.
A pleasure. We're only at the start of this journey, Zohar.
Correct. Maybe we should put it out in the editing.
We're only at the start of this really exciting journey, but I actually want to go back to the very first time we met. Do you remember the very first time we met each other?
Yeah, of course. So when I was a soldier and we had the opportunity to have Rona presenting for the 8200 soldiers about what is a VC, we were all very curious about it, and it was a great session. And this is how we got to know each other, and I knew nothing about VCs. And it was very exciting to get to know each other, like 10 years already, right? Like it's a pretty long time.
It's been probably a decade since we first met. And there's one memory that I have of that night was that I was an Oleh Chadash. I could hardly speak Hebrew at the time. And I remember you asked me a question in Hebrew and I was expected to respond in Hebrew. and as a result, probably the response made absolutely no sense. But that was the start of a fruitful relationship, I think.
Correct. No, since then we are talking only in Hebrew.
Since then we're talking only in Hebrew and very regularly. One of the first things I noticed with you in our very first interactions, that you were in the army but obsessed with entrepreneurship. Like it was absolutely clear to me that being a founder was your dream, even at 23. What inspired you to go down the path of entrepreneurship?
So it's not something that I can explain. It's something that within the kind of like inside of my operating system to want to build something big and to lead a company. I really like technology. This is my passion. So I really like to build technology, and I really like to see people using the technology and solving problems to organizations, which is kind of my passion. I get really excited when I see someone is seeing value from what we do, especially when it's in scale. So this is what wakes me up in the morning. And we are looking to make a big impact in the software industry.
Initially, you joined the firm, you joined us in deal flow meetings, you met companies with us, you helped us with due diligence. I was wondering if there's any lessons you learned from your time at a VC that you were able to take and apply to becoming a founder.
So when I first joined deal flow meetings and meeting entrepreneurs as a VC, I didn't understand a word. Everything was very different because I was an engineer.
It wasn't just my Hebrew.
No, it wasn't just your Hebrew. I really sat down and wrote everything to memorize and to understand the language of a VC. So in many ways, today at Port, when I go and do fundraising, especially at the beginning, it was very helpful for me to understand how VC thinks. And it's very different in many ways from how the entrepreneur thinks. So getting both the VC and the entrepreneur point of view really helps me to understand the people that I meet, what do they care about, and how to communicate what Port does in a very, very simple way that VC can understand and comprehend.
Port has a really interesting origination story, right? It was a personal pain that you and your co-founder and CTO, Yonatan, felt for many, many years. I'd love if you could tell everyone what that pain was and what Port does to go and solve that pain.
Yes. So when we started the company, it was very important for us not to reverse engineer an idea of a problem that we never felt ourselves. And when we started Port, we figured as engineers at the 8200 unit, it was very hard for us to be self-sufficient as engineers. So whenever I needed something as a developer, if I needed to create a cloud resource or I needed to deploy something, I would have to chase Yonatan's team, and Yonatan specifically, from the DevOps team. So I created tickets and I was like slacking him, and it would take weeks for getting something to be addressed. And it was really, really frustrating for us. And Yonatan was assigned to solve this problem. Yonatan started a department called America, which made me self-sufficient. So he created America for all the 2,000 developers to click a button to get whatever we needed, so we could run much, much faster as an organization. And when we thought about the impact that it made to the unit, we said, other organizations around the world must feel the very same problem. And this is what got us started in Port, and this is why we wake up in the morning every day with a mission on something that we feel that everyone needs in America.
The reason we were so interested in the opportunity that Port was pitching in the early days is because we love to find opportunities that help bridge departments. And we felt that Port was this natural bridge between many of the R&D departments, between the developer department, between the DevOps team, and between security. And we're always looking for the intersections, the tools that can help bridge those departments. And we felt that Port was really central to the entire R&D team, as opposed to being a niche developer tool or a niche DevOps tool. That was really the large opportunity we saw when we met you and heard about the idea for Port.
Yeah, Port is today for enterprises and mid-market companies is a mission-critical solution. It sits between all the technical teams. And the reason for that is we realize that if we really want to make an impact on the velocity of software delivery, we cannot only address the developers, because the software delivery pace is impacted by developers, SRE, architect, security. They all work together to deliver software. So in a way, if we only address developers, we will never move the needle for the organization. And this is what makes Port a mission-critical, a central solution for all technical teams. And this is why we are really making an impact for organizations that wants to move much faster. And today, it's a big priority for CIOs and CTOs.
I think it's pretty obvious to the entire market that every organization will be adopting an internal developer portal. We already see that with hundreds of customers and significant size contracts. But I also think we're at a second inflection point. If that was the first inflection point, the second inflection point is the introduction of AI or agentic coding and agentic DevOps into the organization. And Port has an opportunity to take advantage of this new wave of technologies. I'd love to hear how you see Port evolving in the future of AI.
From day one, we solved chaos for engineering teams. That was caused due to the complexity of modern infrastructure and the proliferation of many, many teams that were working together, and it created a complete mess in the life cycle of development. And this is how we started the company. From day one, we are solving chaos. But what happens now is that engineering teams are throwing agents across the SDLC, connecting them to all the different tools and all the different teams. And this puts the agents out of control and the SDLC out of control. So we start to see how companies are losing visibility into what agents are doing. They have no guardrails, they have no control. So in a way, the chaos that we are solving is exponentially bigger than what we have ever imagined, due to the fact that agents don't sleep, they are very creative, and they want to achieve their goals. So they will delete a database if they need to. And this is where we see the second inflection point, as you've mentioned, as a critical point in the software industry. If you do not put your SDLC under control, AI will basically be useless for you. And this is when we see a big opportunity to become a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, we completely agree. We think that in order to facilitate the developer organization of the future, you're going to need a tool like Port in order to manage all of the developer chaos, all the human chaos, but also the agentic chaos.
So you and Rona sit in our board, and I would love to hear a little bit about what do you think about the format? What do you think that we need to improve? And what do you like about the way we run boards?
One of the things I love about Port's board is the collaborative culture that you guys have managed to foster. It's unusual that there are no tables at Port's board. We all sit in a circle, and that leads to a far more interesting and engaged dialogue as opposed to a presentation. And the other thing, and this is actually something that I have to ask you, is that you are known as a CEO who sets really aggressive targets. And sometimes I sit in the board and I give you the feedback afterwards. Why set yourselves such aggressive targets, ones that feel almost unreachable?
Yeah. So besides the fact that we believe that we can achieve the targets, and maybe we're a little bit crazy about it, but this is how we operate. We want to challenge ourselves to the maximum. I think that what makes me confident about setting those targets is the sentiment that I get from the board about the fact that they allow us to do things differently. So this is what gives me the confidence to be able to dream big and go all in without being afraid of what the board will think. And when the board tells us to put a little bit to reduce it a little bit, we take it as a compliment and we go home and we execute.
One of the biggest challenges we've experienced with our developer-orientated companies is how do you market to developers? They're a very unique type of buyer, and traditional marketing techniques don't engage them. But Port, on the other hand, has successfully built an enormous following of developers. They've built a community of developers who love using the product. I was wondering if you could tell us how you've successfully managed to do developer marketing, which is such a challenge across so many companies that we see.
So I think it's the way we build the marketing from day one is based on one very simple principle, which I don't think that is applied only to the developers. I think it applies for every company that does marketing, which we try to stay very authentic to who we are. It means that we're not trying to create an image of something that we are not. We are talking about what we believe in. We are writing about it. We are not trying to reverse engineer an SEO algorithm. We are not trying to mimic our competition. We just write about what we think the market needs and what we believe that will happen. And this is how we think about marketing. And it showed in very early days of the company as something that people appreciate, because one of the rarest resources in the world right now is authenticity. And if you manage to create an authentic brand, an authentic marketing and go-to-market function, you have a massive competitive advantage.
Usually when my phone rings at 10 o'clock at night, Lara, my wife, knows that the caller is Zohar. So Zohar, why do you call so late all the time?
I feel very comfortable to call. Maybe I shouldn't call at 10 late at night, but I think this is part of the magic of the relationship that I have with TLV and with you and Rona specifically. And this is where the time in the day that all my thoughts are surface, and I want to brainstorm with someone, and doing this ping pong late at night where you don't have to attend a meeting right after that, and you don't have to you don't have anything. You finished it with all your tasks for today. This is where we have the best conversations, and maybe we should do it at 9 p.m., not 10 p.m.
I remember a time where you were going through some challenges, and I think I got the sense that you needed some fresh air and you needed a break. And I decided to take you on a swim in the ocean in the middle of winter, I think, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about how that was.
So Port is my second company. The first company I started was Aporia. And when you start a company, it's a lot under your plate. And in between those companies, you don't just need fresh air, you must have fresh air. So Brian, you were kind enough to put me in the coldest day of the year to swim in the sea, which was by the way one of the most memorable memories that I had, because it really made me think only on one thing, on how cold this is right now, and not anything else besides that. So I think this is one of the special memories and special experiences that we've had together. So when I was part of the investment team at TLV Partners a couple of years ago, first of all, TLV grew dramatically in the amount of portfolio companies, and also the market and the industry changed of the venture capital. So I learned that every partner is very different among all the investors that we work with today. And when I was at TLV, every partner has a different mindset and a different way to decide how to make an investment. So how would you describe your way of making investments?
So as a seed investor, by far the most important thing when you're making an investment is to be investing in people that you want to work with. And that's why we appreciate these long-term relationships like the one that we have that has been built over many, many years. So we're always looking at the people. I personally love to invest in the more technical domains, DevOps, dev tools, and cyber. And I love to work with extremely technical founders. I see my role with these founders is to help them with the commercial aspects of building their business, to help them hire the right people in their go-to-market teams, help them think about their go-to-market in a scalable way, to help them think about their next fundraising round or their next partnership.
Also, what really is helpful for me is the fact that also going into the storytelling of the company. And I think a VC has a very unique point of view, because if a VC does not get very clearly what you do as a company, because they have pretty limited attention span and they hear so many stories, it's a very good filter for a company. And when we work together, it's one of the things that really helps me is how to crystallize the story, how to fine-tune the message to be able to deliver it to not only to VCs, by the way, but also to the market and also to our employees. As we scale as a company, almost 200 people today, you need to deliver the story in a clear way. And a VC is a very good partner to iterate on the story to make sure that they can get it in one sentence.
Yes, storytelling is just an incredibly important part of building that company, as you said, both for fundraising, but also to align employees internally. And one of the things about storytelling is that it's a long-term challenge. The story is constantly evolving as the market evolves, as your customer profile evolves, as your competitors evolve their story. And one of the things that I love about Port is how the story hasn't stayed stagnant. It's constantly developed to address some of the new technologies that have emerged, like AI, some of the new forces that are occurring in the market.
Yeah, and this is something that I would say big portion of my time is thinking about the narrative and the story, because once we understand it and the story makes sense, all the rest of the things just fall into place perfectly. So if you manage to crack the story in a clear way, it's 80% of the work.
Yeah, another really big challenge that I see our companies face is hiring incredible talent. You guys at Port have managed to hire incredible talent, and especially recently, VP level talent. You know, the leaders of Port are very, very impressive. Now, most people look at you and they see someone who looks like 5 years younger than his actual age. You look around 25, and yet you've been able to bring some really strong talent to the company. How have you managed to bring such strong talent?
So when it comes to hiring the executive team, my way of thinking and Yonatan's way of thinking from day one is putting everything on the table, making sure that the other side knows that we are building something big, that we are going all in and the targets are going to be high. And there are some people who are afraid of it and some people who are super excited about it. And we speak very openly about the way we run business and our vision and where we are going. And when we hired our VP of sales, Shlomi, who is really an amazing sales leader, on the second interview, I shared my screen with the HubSpot and said, like, hey, Shlomi, like, this is the situation. You can make the choice, but I want you to know exactly where you're joining, and I want you to know exactly what are the targets. And Shlomi got excited about it. And same goes for all the other leaders that are working with us. And we are really fortunate to work with such people that go all in for Port and working together with us. And the executive team is really and it's very special team that work together every day on a shared mission. And I think this is by many means the part of the magic of Port.
Absolutely, it's always the team who make the company. And I would just reiterate that the best talent attracted to working on the biggest challenges and with the most ambitious founders. And I think here we have an incredibly big challenge of building the next generation IDP, as well as the insane amount of ambition that you and Yonatan have.
I have a question. So today we are already around like 200 people, hundreds of customers, and we are now going to the growth phase. And I was wondering what would be the 2 or 3 things that I should be aware of when we are going through this stage and that I can do now to be prepared for the growth stage.
I think the very first thing is that a CEO can't manage everything within the company. You have to be willing to let go. And I think you've done a really good job at hiring people in key positions who are extremely, extremely talented themselves. They can probably do a better job than you at managing these teams, and to give them the space in order to manage things on their own.
So Brian, I really enjoyed the kind of bringing up memories and thinking about the relationship and the way that we work together, and all this journey with TLV is amazing, and can't wait to see how we go from here to build something huge together.
Yeah, thanks, Zohar. It's been a pleasure to do this with you today. It's been an amazing 10-year relationship, and I hope to have another as equally, or if not more successful 10 years in the future with you and Quat.
Let's do it.